Part 27. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 261. Not only steel, after being destroyed, the whole began to be repaired. Soon, the steel giant's form was restored. It stretched out its hand, pulled out the long sword worn on its waist, and then pounced on the nearest A7 mecha, swung the blade. The A7 mecha exploded. Boom! The steel giant's side fell on the other A7 mechas. The 203 team dodged and attacked the steel giant, but the attack had no effect at all. The steel giant's body was very flexible, and the blade in its hand was 100 meters long. As long as it was approached, the mecha would be chopped into pieces with one knife. When the 203 team chose to retreat and escape, the steel giant stepped on the aircraft and chased after it. Of the 203 team's 10 A7 mechas, only one left under the cover of his teammates. The other 9 were all chopped to death by the steel giant. In the Pengu 1st Army Command, the senior officials who watched the scene fell into deep silence. The commander of the army was a man named Xiren, and his eyes fell on a girl with dragon horns at the conference table. Xiren said, "MS Killer Whale, I think humans need your help again." The girl heard it and said, "The tall warriors we knew before, like the A7 mecha we developed, all fought by letting people drive mechas and protected by mechas. As technology continues to advance, we can develop intelligent robot warriors, use remote control artificial intelligence, and control mechas to fight through artificial intelligence." She paused, looked at Xiren and said, "What you see is the artificial intelligence combat mecha of the Tal civilization. They can fight like humans, and when the mecha is damaged, the nanorobots in their bodies will repair them. The level of technological development is different. The nanorobots that Shenmue can currently produce have the ability to repair everything, while the nanorobots of the Tal civilization can only repair mechas. Of course, they can also play a certain role in medical treatment, such as providing drugs to the human body, but they cannot repair the body yet. But even so, the Tal civilization has nanorobots that can repair the mecha, making it invincible." Xiren frowned and thought. Other high-level people around him began to discuss. What should we do? If the Tal civilization were to deploy this kind of thing on the battlefield, we would not be able to defeat it. You know, the A7 mecha is the most powerful mecha in our current technology. If we can't defeat this kind of mecha, what should we do? After thinking for a while, Xiren looked at the killer whale and said, "MS Killer Whale, what do you think we should do next?" The killer whale said, "With the technology you have now, you can't deal with this kind of intelligent mecha warrior, but there is a way." She said, "The reason why this kind of intelligent mecha warrior can't be dealt with is that they don't have flesh in their bodies, but they have a core. Just like humans have a brain, artificial intelligence mechas also have a core. As long as we find the core, we can destroy the opponent." Xiren's eyes lit up slightly, then. The killer whale said slowly, "We have not studied the technology of finding the core. We are currently studying the Thinking Core project. After this project is developed, we can also manufacture artificial intelligence mechas, but it takes time." Xiren frowned, "In other words, we can only rely on ourselves." The killer whale said nothing, just watched quietly. Although the killer whale wanted to help, she couldn't do much. Everyone was a little worried and afraid that the Tal people would send a large number of intelligent mecha warriors into the battlefield. Everyone hoped that there would be only 1 or 2 of those intelligent mecha warriors, so that even if they couldn't defeat them, they could avoid them. But a week later, their hopes were dashed. The Tal civilization invested a large number of artificial intelligence mechas in this week. After half a year of war, the battlefield showed a one-sided trend. The land originally recaptured by humans was once again occupied by the Tal civilization. At the same time, the Tal civilization began to erode the territory of Pangu continent from the east of Pangu continent and expanded to the west. Humans had to continue to retreat to the west. Pangu continent is divided into the east and the west, divided into Western civilization and Eastern civilization, and Eastern civilization is dominated by humans. At this moment, 1/3 of the territory in the east is occupied by the Tal civilization. Guyin, wearing a thick military uniform, stood on a high building and looked down. Below, a 100-meter-long intelligent mecha warrior was lying on the square. She held the railing, feeling the coldness coming from it, and her eyes trembled slightly. In half a year, too many people died, Guyin said softly. Although the human camp also destroyed many intelligent mecha giants in the half-year war, the price paid by the human camp was too huge. To destroy an intelligent mecha giant, you have to find the core, and many people will die in the process. After finding the core, destroy it again, which will kill many people again. This price eventually led to fewer and fewer humans in the human camp and less territory. Now humans are on the verge of life and death. If this continues, the humans in the east will be completely extinct, and we must find a way to break through the current predicament. Are you ready? A voice came from the side. Guyin came back to her senses. She looked at the person who was talking next to her. This person had dragon horns and a beautiful face. She was looking at Guyin. Guyin looked at her and said, "Ms. Killer Whale." Killer Whale said, "Are you really going to do this?" Guyin slowly retracted her gaze and looked ahead. "Someone has to do this. Why, can't it be me?" Killer Whale looked at Guyin's determined eyes. She nodded, retracted her gaze. "I know." Not long after, Guyin was lying in the medical room. She looked at the doctors and nurses in white coats surrounding her. She slowly closed her eyes. Killer Whale watched from the side. She watched Guyin's brain being taken out. She also watched Guyin's brain being installed in the head of the 100-meter giant intelligent mecha warrior that was seized and transformed from the Tal camp. Killer Whale has a knowledge base, but the knowledge base gives knowledge. It takes time to convert knowledge into something that can really be used. After half a year of research, the current artificial core is not as good as the Tal civilization, but humans have found another way, which is to directly remove the human head and use it to replace the artificial core to control the giant mecha created by the Tal civilization, so that they can fight against the Tal civilization. Start neural connection. Connecting. Connection successful. The brain is waking up. The functions of the D1 mecha are beginning to activate. The giant mecha warrior began to emit a blue halo all over his body. Suddenly, the metal pupils of the mecha warrior lit up with a blue light. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 262. The girl named Orca stood beside the corridor of the high-rise building, looking at the intelligent mecha below. Now, this intelligent mecha can no longer be called an intelligent mecha. After the transformation of Pangu's army, this intelligent mecha from the Tal civilization has a new name, D1 mecha. The huge D1 mecha was reactivated with the entry of the human brain. It slowly moved, its hands fell on the ground, and under the gaze of the people around it, it slowly sat up. After sitting up, it raised its hand and looked at its palm. Detecting the connection. The nerves are connected, and the D1 mecha has been successfully activated. No abnormalities were detected. A mechanical voice sounded throughout the building through the loudspeaker. Then, the voice turned. It became another voice. "Do you remember who you are?" Hearing this question, the blue halo in the eyes of the D1 mecha flickered, and it slowly said, "I am Guyin from the 302 team." The voice was mechanical and a little hoarse. Very good. After hearing Guyin's answer, everyone realized it. It succeeded. It is inhumane to implant the human brain into the giant intelligent mecha and control the intelligent mecha with human consciousness. It is not acceptable to ordinary people, but this is the only way for humans now. According to the theoretical knowledge provided by the killer whale, this intelligent mecha can be completely controlled by human consciousness. This control can make the D1 mecha more effective than those artificial intelligence mecha. But these are all theoretical knowledge, and everything needs experiments. This first D1 mecha, codenamed 302, is equivalent to Guyin himself. After a week of experiments, it was determined that there were no problems. Mecha number 302 was put into the battlefield. Front line position. The soldiers of the 603 team drove the A7 mecha, holding guns, flying in the air. 7 tall warriors wearing mecha suits can be seen in front. These 7 tall warriors are holding guns and sweeping wildly at the soldiers of the 603 team in the air. Humph, the driver named Langley sneered. He operated the mecha and used the flexibility of the A7 mecha to dodge in mid-air and avoid all the bullets. After dodging, Langley raised the gun in his hand and said to the nearest tall warrior, "Big fool, go to hell." Bang! A gunshot sounded, and the bullet flew out and shot at the tall warrior. The bullet directly penetrated the tall warrior's mecha suit and entered the tall warrior's head. Bang! Accompanied by a loud bang, the huge tall warrior's head was misty, and his huge body slowly fell down. Bang! Dust flew. Langley said, "Your mecha suit can't save the body inside. Tall civilization? Ha, just a group of big fools." "Langley, don't be too careless," a voice came from the radio. Langley curled his lips, shrugged indifferently, and said, "Yes, Captain." "Captain. There is an intelligent mecha," suddenly a voice sounded, "No." "Ah." Accompanied by the screams from the radio, Langley's heart condensed. It's Zhuliang's voice. He looked in the direction of his companion Zhuliang, and his face changed drastically. Zhuliang's body was cut in half by a slender long knife along with the mecha. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang. Zhuliang's mecha exploded. Looking at the bright light produced by the explosion, Langley's pupils trembled, and he looked at the enemy who killed his companion. The enemy was like other tall mechas, 100 meters tall, and from the outside, it looked like those tall warriors wearing mecha suits. But Langley could see that there was a hole in the giant mecha, and that hole was being repaired quickly. Seeing the hole being repaired, Langley realized that this was an intelligent mecha. Damn it, Langley's face changed drastically. Didn't they say that there are no intelligent mechas in this team? The attack of the Tall civilization was carried out by Tall warriors together with intelligent mechas. Although the Tall civilization invested a lot of intelligent mechas, they still had to cooperate with the Tall warriors. Although humans cannot defeat intelligent mechas in the overall situation, they can still resist those Tall warriors wearing mecha suits. According to the intelligence Langley had obtained earlier, the Tall team in front of him should not have intelligent mechas. Our instruments detected that there are no intelligent mechas in this Tall team. It is very likely that the Tall people used the power of technology to block the signal of the intelligent mechas, making us mistakenly think that there are no intelligent mechas. The captain said, "We are not the opponent of this thing, retreat quickly." However, the intelligent mecha did not give Langley and his team any time to react, and rushed directly to the nearest A7 mecha, swinging the nearly 100-meter-long longsword in his hand. Another mecha exploded directly. Langley's face changed when he saw this scene. "Spread out, retreat. How many can escape?" "Escape," the captain immediately gave the order. The performance of the A7 mecha is not as good as that of the Tall intelligent mecha. If they run in one direction together, they may be wiped out. The captain can only choose to escape in different directions. The 603 team began to spray flames and retreated quickly. Langley also escaped. He completely lost the pleasure he had at the beginning. At this moment, he had a strong fear, which was the fear of death. "Don't chase me, don't chase me." He kept repeating this sentence in his heart. If he didn't chase him, his teammates would die, but now the coldness enveloped Langley, and that strong fear drove Langley. But the sound of breaking through the air from behind made Langley's hair stand up. He subconsciously looked back and saw that the intelligent mecha stepped on the aircraft, holding a long knife, and was flying towards him. Seeing this, Langley's pupils condensed. It's over. The thing approached, and the long knife slashed directly at Langley. There was despair in Langley's eyes. Clang. Suddenly, a crisp sound caused by the collision of hard objects and hard objects sounded. Langley was stunned, and saw a long knife collide with the opponent's long knife. Langley flew away and looked back from a distance. He saw a giant mecha with a height of 100 meters, holding a long knife, facing the intelligent mecha on Tal's side, and the long knives held by the two collided with each other. Langley's pupils condensed, and the fear on his body disappeared instantly, and a sense of excitement surged in his heart. "It's the D1 mecha," the voice of his companion sounded in the radio. It was the D1 mecha that saved Langley's life. Guyen blocked the enemy's attack. She looked at the intelligent mecha in front of her, and a series of memories emerged in her mind. "Guyen, I will cover you, run." "No. Guyen, listen to me. I promised to accompany you for a lifetime and die with you, but now I regret it. I don't want to accompany you for a lifetime, and I don't want to die with you. I want you to live. Nan. Run." The man who said these words to her drove the mecha as she watched, rushing towards the intelligent mecha. The intelligent mecha was attracted by him and turned around to chase him. And Guyen only had time to watch her lover being cut in half by the intelligent mecha. "It's all your fault," these memories emerged in her mind. Guyen gritted her teeth and the energy engine on her chest lit up with a blue light. Langley exerted force suddenly. Clang. The opponent's knife was deflected, and the long knife in Langley's hand pierced directly into the enemy's body and pierced the enemy's core directly. The blade turned. Boom. Accompanied by a loud bang. The intelligent mecha exploded and broke into pieces. Langley looked at the scene in front of him, his mouth slightly opened, and his eyes widened. For them, this intelligent mecha is almost invincible. And the D1 mecha in front of him came over and solved the opponent in an instant. After Guyen solved the intelligent mecha, her eyes fell on other enemies. She stepped on the aircraft under her feet and changed her weapons. Bang bang bang. Accompanied by a burst of gunfire. Those tall warriors who were still watching the battle on the side lay down one after another. So strong. Is this the D1 mecha? It's too strong. There's hope. With this D1 mecha, humanity is saved. After Guyen defeated all the enemies, she stopped and stood on the wasteland in front of her, looking at the broken ruins in front of her. The sun fell on her 100-meter tall body made of steel, reflecting white light. Inside the command center, the girl with dragon horns looked at Guyen's figure on the screen, her eyes shining. Humans need to grow and evolve, then is this thing in front of us also a kind of evolution of humans? Warm TI. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 263. If humans want to explore the universe, then humans need to evolve. Humans have been evolving all along, but this evolution is a very, very small evolution. Generally, if you don't pay attention to it, you can't notice it. But even if you don't pay attention to it, the fact that humans are evolving has always been there, but no one pays more attention to it. The most obvious manifestation of biological evolution is reproduction. In the reproduction process, human genes combine to give birth to beings that inherit genes from both parents. This kind of being has new genes, which contain genes from both parents and its own. When new genes are born, these new genes will be screened and eliminated by the social environment, and the ones that remain in the end are better genes. Humans have reproduced countless times, generation after generation, and their genes will be more prominent and better in some aspects. This is evolution, that is, evolution requires reproduction. In the human world, there is a term called immortality. Perhaps in the long life history of the earth, in ancient times, there may be a group of lives that have the ability to live forever. But the survival of a life requires the consumption of resources. When a group of lives have the ability to live forever, they will reproduce infinitely in an infinite time, and eventually the resources on the planet will not be able to satisfy these lives. In the end, these immortal lives ushered in extinction. Therefore, the lives that were born on Earth later chose another way of immortality. That is the immortality of genes. With reproduction, genes will be inherited infinitely, which means the immortality of genes. Humans are made up of cells, and the essence of humans is the gene formation in the body. The immortality of genes may mean the immortality of humans. Humans have been immortal, but this immortality is not what humans think. In the process of reproduction, humans spend time to understand the environment, study technology, and use technology to help themselves start a new round of evolution. This external technological evolution force is the key to letting humans leave this cage called Earth. In the eyes of the killer whale, Guyen in front of him put his head into the D1 mecha and combined it with the steel mecha. This may be a kind of evolution of humans. Humans adapt to the environment to avoid being destroyed by the Tal civilization. This is an evolution that combines organic and mechanical bodies. Is this evolution correct? The killer whale was thinking. In fact, there is no right or wrong in evolution. The essence of evolution is to adapt to the environment and keep genes alive. As long as you can adapt to the environment and keep genes alive, it is correct. With the D1 mecha put into the battlefield, the strength shown by the D1 mecha has led more and more people to choose to become D1 mecha warriors. The intelligent mecha of the Tal civilization uses artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence is obviously not as easy to use as the human brain. With the addition of the D1 mecha, the current Earth civilization has begun to counterattack again. The intelligent mecha brought by the Tal civilization will be collected by the current Earth civilization and become the D1 mecha of the current Earth civilization. The Pangu army has been strengthened and began to recover the lost territory. In one war after another, the interior of the current Earth has become a wasteland, with only various military bases standing on this wasteland. In the Tal alliance. 3 years. Yes, 3 years. It took us 3 years to attack Pangu civilization. In this war, we originally planned that the advanced civilization would attack the low-level civilization, and it would only take half a year to win, but it turned out like this. When we chose to attack, the other side was indeed just a low-level civilization behind us, but in the 3 years, along with our invasion, our technology stimulated the other side's technological development. The technology currently possessed by Pangu civilization is enough to fight against our intelligent warriors. If we continue to fight like this, and let them continue to develop, they may pass through that door to attack us at any time. Just release the natural disaster. After hearing this, are you crazy? The scourge will devour all life, including ourselves. We can let our people retreat, and then we can set up an energy shield in front of that door to seal the scourge inside. You mean, we have fought for 3 years in vain? That's better than waiting for the other side to invade our world and put the gun to our heads, right? You. Shut up. Suddenly, a voice sounded, interrupting the noise in the conference room. As the voice in the conference room fell, the senior leaders looked at the man who was the general manager of the alliance. The man with 4 ears, dressed in black, looked at everyone on the field with his blue pupils. He said lightly, "I have decided to release the scourge." After listening to the general manager say this, the others looked at me, I looked at you, and could only acquiesce. As the order fell, the warriors of the Tal civilization began to evacuate. When the Tal civilization evacuated, the highly intelligent life forms of the Earth civilization realized something was wrong. Although it was strange, they chose to pursue the victory. While chasing and killing them, they took back the territory that had become a wasteland. All the people of Tal civilization withdrew to Tal Star through the time-space gate. Guyen stood at the seaside. She looked at the sea, and could see her own appearance through the sea. Guyen frowned slightly. This was the appearance she hated the most, the appearance of the monster who killed her most beloved. And now, she herself has become this appearance. Every time she saw herself at this moment, Guyen felt an indescribable pain. If you want to defeat the devil, you can only become a devil? Guyen asked herself in her heart. According to the intelligence, all the people of Tal civilization withdrew to Tal Star yesterday. A voice came from the side. Guyen came back to her senses and looked back at the source of the voice. She saw a girl with dragon horns flying in the air, looking at her with a smile. Guyen retracted her gaze and looked at the ocean in front of her. I feel that it's not that simple. When the killer whale heard it, she said, not that simple. Guyen hummed, although we seem to have some advantages on the front line, the Tal civilization is a stronger civilization than us after all. Such a civilization is unlikely to give up and leave completely just because of our advantage. I don't feel right. Guyen looked at the sky. She looked at the scenery in front of her. Suddenly, Guyen noticed a bright light, flying from bottom to top into the sky. Guyen was slightly startled. What is that? At the same time, in the Hope Valley, which originally symbolized hope, a missile suddenly shot into the sky. The missile exploded in the sky, and a green mist filled the Earth's atmosphere. This layer of mist slowly spread. In the end, it rained all over the Earth. This rain was green. A green raindrop flew in the air. If you look at the green raindrop with a magnifying glass, you can see countless small life forms gathered in the raindrop. These life forms are like mechanical insects. They squeeze together to form raindrops. This torrential rain composed of countless green raindrops fell on the ground and sank into the ground. In this way, one after another, insects covered with mechanical structures crawled out from the surface of the ground. Hiss, these insects hissed and roared, and they began to bite and devour their companions around them. Every time they devoured a mechanical insect, its size doubled. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 264. After the green rain fell, countless mechanical bugs appeared on the ground. These bugs eat all living things, including plants. Outside the people's military base, those mechanical bugs made of silver mechas were like silver waves, roaring and engulfing the military base. The soldiers guarding the military base had no way to deal with the seemingly endless mechanical bugs. Mechanical bugs broke out in the east of Pangaea, that is, in the Valley of Hope, and then expanded their territory crazily toward the west. The army of these insects is endless. Humanity dispatched the D1 Army. Inside the Pangaea 1st Army headquarters. Inside the highest research institute of Pangaea 1st Army. Director Chen Xiao was wearing a white coat. She left her studio with the materials she had compiled in her hands and came to the headquarters to see the Commander-in-Chief Zi Ren. Zi Ren looked at Chen Xiao and said, Director Chen, how are you doing? Chen Xiao said, this is the information I spent a week compiling. Zi Ren stretched out his hand, took the information handed over by Chen Xiao, and looked through it. Chen Xiao said, I studied the raindrops that fell that day. There were seeds of life in those raindrops. When Zi Ren heard this, he looked at Chen Xiao, the seed of life. He frowned. Chen Xiao said, yes, in each raindrop, there are countless many mechanical bugs. After these mechanical bugs enter the earth from the sky, within a very short period of time, they will frantically demand minerals from the land. Build your own body and become the mechanical bug we see now. Zi-Ren frowned tightly. In that rain, every drop of rain can give birth to tens of millions of mechanical bugs. Qin Xiao said. That heavy rain lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. I think the number of mechanical bugs now is already one horrible numbers. Hearing this, Zi-Ren said, indeed, it is a very scary number. Qin Xiao doesn't need to say this conclusion. Anyone who has seen the insect tide formed by mechanical bugs can feel it. Qin Xiao continued, the mechanical bugs have the characteristics of a combination of organic and inorganic substances. They have the consciousness of beasts and mechanical bodies. They use minerals from the earth to build their bodies and the instinct to devour life. They seem to born to kill. They will first choose to devour other living things, but if there is not enough food, they will devour their own kind. When Zi-Ren heard this, he subconsciously looked at Qin Xiao and said, so, we can ignore it and wait for them to kill each other. Qin Xiao said, this is impossible. I have said that they will first devour the life outside, and there are so many of them. If we want to rely on them to kill each other and become extinct, we will probably have to kill them before they become extinct erased. Zi-Ren frowned, so, is there no other way? I think this is probably the reason why the Tar people evacuated, and this is probably the last resort of the Tar people. Qin Xiao pushed up her glasses and said, these things, even if we use our most powerful D1 machine at present, even the armor can't deal with it, there are too many, and the D1 mecha will only be dismantled in an instant when faced with such a large number of mechanical bugs and become their food. These things fall from the sky, just like natural disasters. Qin Xiao continued, it is obvious that the Tatar people cannot control this thing, so they chose to withdraw their troops. It is estimated that the Tatar people are waiting in their world now, waiting for these bugs to destroy us, waiting for these bugs to finally fight each other. Kill them, wait for hundreds of years, and then wait for the insects to die, then re-enter this planet and occupy this world. Zi-Ren said, a natural disaster, is indeed a natural disaster. Zi-Ren slowly clenched his fists, there is no other way, start the Ark plan. Qin Xiao was slightly startled, she frowned, and said, yes. Project Ark. This plan is also known as the Doomsday Plan. This is the long-standing plan formulated by the top brass here in the East. This plan is the Ark plan that will be launched when the highest levels of mankind believe that this planet is no longer suitable for human survival. Simply put, this plan is to build a giant spacecraft that will take surviving humans and fly out of the Earth to become a satellite of the Earth. The surviving humans will live in giant spaceships. Every once in a while, some people will be sent back to the Earth to collect supplies and then return to the giant spaceship. This is the so-called Ark project. When the Ark project was launched, it meant that humans had completely given up on the Earth and believed that the Earth was no longer suitable for human habitation. One day later. Have you heard? Zi-Ren has chosen to launch the Ark project. Guyin's voice came. The killer whale who heard Guyin's voice was standing on Guyin's shoulder. Listening to Guyin's voice, she subconsciously looked at Guyin beside her. She smiled and said, I think it's time for you to take it out too. Your body is gone. With your military exploits, you should also have a ticket to the Ark, right? Guyin slowly withdrew his gaze and looked at the blue ocean in front of him. I have become accustomed to my current body. I have been wearing the devil's mask for a long time, and I no longer want to take it off. I believe that there is no room for it on that Ark. There's room for a body as big as mine. When the killer whale heard this, she looked at Guyin and said, you don't want to go up. Guyin said, I was born in this Pangu continent, and I also hope that I can die in Pangu continent. Frankly speaking, after all my companions in Team 302 died, I was already dead. Now I just want to die on the battlefield. The killer whale slowly retracted his gaze and looked ahead. Is this where the warriors belong? The two were silent. After a long time, Guyin said, tomorrow, It is estimated that it will be my last battle. In this last battle, I want to ask you a question. What question? Guyen said, I remember when you first appeared in front of humans, you claimed to be a friend of the Eastern Dragon. According to many ancient books, the Eastern Dragon is the patron saint of our human beings. They have immortal power and have been guarding us for thousands of years. But why, human beings are about to become extinct, but they still haven't appeared on the battlefield, and you are only providing us with technology, and have not participated in the battlefield? Why, this question is a bit too much for you who have been helping us, but I hope I can get the answer to this question before I die. She turned her face slightly and looked at the killer whale with her peripheral vision. The killer whale looked at the blue ocean in front of her. She closed her eyes, then slowly opened them, revealing her black eyes. Thousands of years ago, we did give humans a lot of help, but that help was useless. Humans need independence and self-development. Just like what you have always said, if a child wants to grow up, he can't always stay with his parents. Only by experiencing the ups and downs on his own can he truly grow up. Hearing this, Guyen retracted his gaze. It's really simple, and it's the truth. But, does the price need to be so high? Do we need to make humans extinct to make them grow? The killer whale was silent for a while. She slowly sat down, sitting on Guyen's huge shoulders. She said, I believe he won't make humans extinct. When Guyen heard this, she glanced at the killer whale out of the corner of her eye. He become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 265. The killer whale hummed, yes, him. Who is he? Guyen was confused. The killer whale hummed, with a long tone, as if he was thinking about something. According to you humans, he is the creator, the killer whale said. He created all life on this planet. Guyen withdrew his gaze. The creator you mentioned, I have heard it mentioned by the mechanical tribe from time to time. They said that their creator and the creator of this planet are both the same person. The mechanical tribe also said that under our feet the planet is it. It's just that I have always doubted the existence of this thing. Now you suddenly mention it. Does it really have a creator? Are humans really created by the creator? As he said that, Guyen looked at the killer whale beside him. The killer whale hummed softly, he is real, and the mechanical tribe is right. The planet under our feet is his body. Speaking of this, the killer whale paused, and she smiled. Actually, I didn't know this at the beginning. I thought he was just like me, just a killer whale. However, sometimes he really stupid. I was his teacher and taught him a lot of knowledge. Guyen was stunned. These words the killer whale suddenly said made Guyen a little confused. What is this and what? Guyen didn't quite understand. She withdrew her gaze and looked at the blue ocean in front of her. You said that he won't watch human beings become extinct. He just hopes that it will be like this. The next day, Guyen drove his huge body and stood on the wasteland. In front of Guyen, there were a swarm of silver mechanical insects. Those mechanical bugs are like an ocean, rushing towards the side with dust all over the sky. Look at these mechanical bugs in front of you. Guyen, who was 100 meters tall, held a giant Gatling and pointed it at the swarm of silver mechanical insects in front of him. Next to Guyen, there were 61 mechas, all holding giant Gatlings like Guyen. 71 mechas formed a front. Behind Guyen is the entrance to Yase Canyon. The Yase Mountains isolate these mechanical insect swarms from humans. If these mechanical insect swarms are allowed to pass through this canyon, then humans will have no natural danger to defend and can only become livestock that are slaughtered at will. This is the last natural danger, and soldiers must come out to stop them. Otherwise, before the Ark in the Ark plan is completed, all mankind will be torn apart. But this time, 71 mechas formed a front. Bang bang bang. Crazy bullets sank into the insect tide. As the rays of light fell into the insect tide, the insects screamed one after another, and their bodies were directly blasted into dregs. Guyen pulled the trigger and fired wildly. But there are too many of these mechanical bugs, and these bullets can't stop them at all. More and more mechanical bugs came closer and attacked the D1 mecha at close range. Guyen simply dropped Gatlin, pulled out the long knife from her waist, stared at the mechanical bugs in front of her, and plunged into the wave of mechanical bugs. The long knife in his hand waved. With a wave of the long knife, the swarm of mechanical insects broke into two pieces. Boom! All 7 D1 mechas engaged in close combat. One step was trampled to death, and one was hacked to death with a swing of the machete. But there were too many mechanical insect swarms, and one D1 mecha after another was swallowed up by the insect swarm. Guyen looked at her comrades who had been swallowed up. Her eyes were glowing blue. She had no thoughts in her mind. She could only hold a long knife and fight with all her strength. Roar! Accompanied by a roar, Guyen's emotions were awakened. Guyen came to her senses and felt a huge shadow. She was startled slightly, raised her face, and looked at the source of the shadow. The sight that caught his eye made Guyen's pupils tremble slightly. A behemoth, more than 500 meters tall, appeared in front of Guyen. The 100-meter-tall D1 mecha is already tall enough and huge enough, but the behemoth in front of me is 5 times as tall as the D1 mecha. It looks like a giant mechanical insect, but its size is extremely huge and terrifying. Looking at the huge creature in front of him, Guyen's pupils were trembling. Suddenly, Guyen also noticed that some of the mechanical bugs around him were much larger than the common mechanical bugs. Normal mechanical bugs are only as tall as a human being, but Guyen is currently in the center of the insect tide, surrounded by mechanical bugs. These mechanical bugs are dozens of meters high at the shoulder, and some are as high as 100 meters. What Guyen saw was the largest one, more than 500 meters long. At the same time, inside the Panga 1st Army headquarters, through the camera capabilities provided by Guyen's mecha, everyone in the command center saw this horrific scene. Zi-Ren had already stood up, while other senior officials were stunned. These mechanical bugs will devour all life and turn life into their own. In the process of devouring, they will gain the quality and size of the other party. Qin Xiao next to him said, as long as they are given enough food, they can grow without limit. Hearing this, the entire command headquarters became silent. How can we defeat such an existence? Moreover, the materials left by the Tal civilization that can be transformed into D1 mechas are gone. The 7 D1 mechas in front of us are mankind's last trump card, and this trump card, facing this natural disaster in front of us, is, like a joke. Guyen looked at the scene in front of him, and those mechanical insects climbed onto Guyen's body. It's over. The long sword fell from his hand and fell to the ground. However, at this moment, the whole planet was filled with a golden light. About 30 seconds ago, Chen Mu was watching the fierce battle between humans and mechanical insects, and he was watching with relish. Suddenly, through his conscious vision, he noticed that there was an asteroid coming towards him. Noticing the asteroid, Chen Mu felt a little unhappy. The interior of the Earth is developing very fast, but in fact Chen Mu has not left the coverage of the Oort cloud. Therefore, Chen Mu can often see those asteroids, but because the universe is too vast, the gaps between the asteroids in the Oort cloud are very large, so even if he has flown for so long, he has not encountered any asteroids, and even if he has encountered them, they are just some small and inconspicuous things. And the asteroid in front of him is slightly larger. It is about the size of the original moon. Swallow it. Chen Mu muttered in his heart. It is impossible for an asteroid to change Chen Mu's route. Just swallow it. Once the swallowing ability is used, Chen Mu's body turns golden. As the Earth's Chen Mu, the moment he opened his devouring ability, everything on Earth turned golden, including the mechanical insect swarm. After Chen Mu's whole body turned golden, the asteroid also turned golden, crashed into Chen Mu's body, and was devoured and absorbed by Chen Mu. After devouring, Chen Mu, who had turned into a golden sphere, slowly changed back to his original appearance. Chen Mu put his consciousness into his body to see what would happen next. Chen Mu was stunned when he saw this. Inside the planet, Guyin looked at everything in front of her, and she was a little confused. Through Guyin's vision, she could see that the silver insect swarm that was originally composed of mechanical insects was now nothing. There was nothing in front of her, and she could see the horizon at a glance. Everything was gone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 266. Chen Mu slowly came back to his senses. Really? According to the system's judgment, the creatures from the tar star do not belong to me, so when I use the devouring ability, do I naturally swallow them too? What a shame. Chen Mu originally planned to see what methods humans would use to deal with this natural disaster. As a result, he accidentally dealt with the natural disaster directly. Forget it, anyway, these things were just a coincidence from the beginning. If I had closed the door to time and space, I wouldn't have had these things happen now. I would just treat it as if I had closed the door smoothly before. Inside the Panga First Army headquarters. Through the camera of Guyin's D1 Mecha, the senior executives watched the scene in front of them. As the commander-in-chief, Zi-Ren's frown slowly relaxed. Zi-Ren said, "Immediately mobilize the satellite and use satellite detection. I want to know the situation in other places." Yes, an intelligence officer immediately tapped the computer keyboard in front of him. Soon, the huge screen in front of me was divided into countless screens. There are countless cities on these screens. Of course, these cities are now in ruins. Before, there were densely packed mechanical insects in these ruins. But now all the screens are displayed on the big screens. On these small screens, no mechanical bugs can be seen. All the mechanical bugs on the entire Earth have disappeared. In just a moment, all the mechanical bugs were gone. Zi-Ren subconsciously looked at the girl sitting in front of the conference table. Almost everyone looked at her. Because no one else can give the answer to this question except her wisdom. The girl with dragon horns named Killer Whale felt the gazes from all around. She showed a mysterious smile and said, "When there are natural disasters, there will naturally be miracles. You can find the answer to this question yourself." She knew what was going on, but she didn't want to say it. When Zi-Ren heard this, he frowned and looked at the killer whale, but he couldn't force the girl in front of him to do anything. Zi-Ren slowly withdrew his gaze and looked at the screen in front of him. It is impossible for these insect waves to disappear for no reason, but I think the only one who can do this is a god, Zi-Ren said to himself. God. Our dragon god, or the angel of the west. Our ancient books contain records of the dragon god. The dragon god is immortal, but the dragon god always uses his body to fight when dealing with things. There is no such situation in the records of angels. Then what's going on? Everyone felt the shock, and after the deep shock, they were confused. Report to the headquarters. Suddenly, a voice sounded. It was Guyin's voice. Hearing Guyin's voice, Zi-Ren looked at the correspondent. The correspondent said into the microphone, "This is the headquarters." Guyin continued, "I can no longer see any mechanical bugs near me. The mission has been completed. Number 302 applied to return to the base." The correspondent looked at Zi-Ren. Zi-Ren nodded slightly. The correspondent said, "Okay, thank you for your hard work. Welcome back." After Guyin heard the voice over there, She flew in the air and looked at the wasteland around her. Her eyes were shining, and the words Miss Orca said yesterday could not help but echo in her mind. Sure enough, he didn't let humanity go extinct. Creator, God of creation. What a terrifying existence. This natural disaster is a terrible disaster for any civilization in Pangaea. Humanity has even launched the Ark project to escape from the ground. And this so-called natural disaster can be easily solved with just a thought for him. At the same time, outside the Earth, a satellite is flying in the sky, observing everything inside the Earth. Within the Tal Alliance. What? The natural disaster is gone. After Wu Chu, the general leader of the alliance, heard the report, his four ears stood up. He frowned, looked at the four-eared woman in front of him, and said, Pangaea civilization has the ability to eliminate natural disasters. The four-eared girl said, we can see through the satellite that the planet emits golden light in an instant. As soon as the light appears, all natural disasters disappear in that instant. It feels like it was eaten by the planet. Wu Qing's eyebrows were furrowed. The four-eared girl looked at Wu Ku, but when she saw that Wu Ku didn't say anything, she continued, that planet and the creature on that planet are very strange. Hearing this, Wu Ku looked at the four-eared girl. The four-eared girl continued, there are no stars around that planet to provide it with any temperature. Under normal circumstances, its temperature would be very low, but the temperature of that planet is habitable for life. It is as big as a planet should be born in a dust cloud. The formation of a planet of this mass in a dust cloud will inevitably attract a large amount of gas and turn it into a gas giant planet. The strangest thing is that its mass is extremely large, larger than our Tal planet, and its gravity is extremely high. Even if we Tal people are on that planet, we need the help of a mecha suit. Take action. Otherwise, you will be crushed to death by gravity. But the problem is, all the life forms on that planet are obviously not as dense as ours and don't have any protection, but they can survive on that planet. This is very incredible. Wu Ku frowned, didn't we discover these problems earlier? We want to occupy that planet, and we also want to provide convenience for us to study that planet. Why are you bringing this up now? The four-eared girl looked at Wu Ku and said, although it may just be my sixth sense, I feel, the reason why those lives can survive on that planet is because the planet is protecting those lives. I suspect natural disasters, the reason why it disappears is because of that planet. Wu Ku's pupils condensed slightly, and he said, do you want to say that that planet has life? The four-eared girl said, although it is unbelievable, it may not be impossible. Wu Ku's eyebrows were furrowed, and he slowly sat in front of the workbench, lost in thought. He looked at the four-eared girl, you go down first. The four-eared girl left. Wu Chu pondered. A planet with life. If this guess is correct, then the problem that has always puzzled Tal scientists can be easily solved. But how is this possible? A planet with life, a planet that can eliminate natural disasters in an instant. If there is such life, then it would be a dream for us to occupy that planet. But, how is this possible? Before people see the truth, they will choose to doubt and deny things that are out of common sense. Of course, even the tar people are the same. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 267. There is no more harassment from the Tal civilization. Now the Earth civilization has begun to recuperate and entered an era of peace. With the help of angels, eastern dragons, and mechanical races, the human race, elves, fairies, orcs, and demon races have begun to develop various technologies. Without the strong military pressure as before, the technology of Earth civilization has begun to develop in all directions, no longer limited to the military. In this way, a year passed quickly in the blink of an eye. And Chen Mu also arrived at his destination. Proxima. Chen Mu turned into an angel and looked at the star in front of him with super bionic eyes. The star is billions of kilometers away. Looking at this star, he had a novel feeling. As a star, the most common one in the solar system is the Sun. When you look at the Sun from the Earth, the Sun has white light, but when you look at the Sun from a close distance, the Sun is orange-yellow. The star in front of Chunmoo is not the white color imagined, nor is it yellow like the Sun, but another color, red. Proxima is a red dwarf star. The mass of a red dwarf is more than 105 Jupiter masses. Their hydrogen nuclear fusion speed is slower than that of yellow dwarfs such as the Sun, so although the mass of a red dwarf is small, its lifespan is longer. The mass of this kind of star is generally no more than half of the Sun, and its volume is relatively small, and its light is relatively dim. If it is on Earth, without the help of an astronomical telescope, humans cannot observe any red dwarf. It is said that 70% of the stars in the galaxy where the solar system is located are red dwarfs. There are a lot of red dwarfs. The Proxima Centauri in front of us is one of the many red dwarfs in the Milky Way. Although the size of a red dwarf is not as big as the Sun, it is still terrifyingly large compared to Chunmoo. Compared to Proxima Centauri at this moment, Chunmoo is obviously much smaller. Chunmoo also noticed through his super bionic eye that this Proxima Centauri is different from the Sun in the solar system. It is not alone. Because there are two stars near it. Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B are two yellow dwarf stars. Compared with Proxima Centauri, these two stars have more mass and volume than Proxima Centauri. The gravity of the two stars pulls each other to form a unique binary star system, orbiting each other. Proxima Centauri is a long way away from them, but even so, it is still affected by the gravity of the two stars and orbits around the two stars to form a companion star. The three stars thus form a unique triple star system. Although Alpha Centauri Alpha and Alpha Centauri Beta are relatively close, this is only from the perspective of stars. From the perspective of humans, the distance between them is very far, so far that each has its own planetary system and its own habitable zone for life. Of course, Chunmoo's priority now is still on Proxima Centauri in front of him. Chunmoo can see 5 planets orbiting Proxima Centauri through his super bionic eyes. Just like the solar system, Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf, also has its own planetary system. At the same time, Chunmoo also saw that there was an asteroid belt between the third and fourth planets, and this asteroid belt. The red dwarf emits a red halo, shining on the asteroid belt, and the asteroid belt reflects red light. The entire planetary system of Proxima Centauri is stained with a red halo. It looks very dreamy. If a human saw this scene, he would probably be very excited. At this moment, Chunmoo's heart, which seemed to have no emotions, also had a ripple. Food. It took Chunmoo more than 4 years to finally reach the destination. For more than 3,000 years, humans on Earth have observed Proxima Centauri. With the observation capabilities at that time, it was observed that Proxima Centauri had 2 planets, Proxima b and Proxima c. But after getting closer, Chunmoo found that Proxima Centauri not only had those 2, it had its own planetary system with 5 planets. It doesn't matter, just swallow it first. Chunmoo thought. The whole planet turned golden, and he pounced on the nearest planet. Outside Proxima is a gas giant planet, similar in appearance to Neptune, with a small mass, only 6 times the mass of the Earth. Swallowed. Continue to go in. The fourth one, also a gas giant planet, was swallowed. Slowly, swallowed in. In the end, there was only the last planet left in the entire Proxima planetary system. After this round of swallowing, Chunmoo's body size has increased. At this moment, he is already the size of 2 Jupiters. Chunmoo, with a golden glow, stared at the last planet of Proxima in front of him. This planet is very interesting. It orbits Proxima, but it does not rotate on its own. Instead, one side faces Proxima, and then orbits Proxima. This should be Proxima b. According to the previous astronomical knowledge of the Earth, there is a planet in the habitable zone of Proxima, a red dwarf star, named Proxima b. The relationship between Proxima b and Proxima is like the relationship between the Earth and the Moon. Because the Moon is too close to the Earth, it does not rotate. It is attracted by the Earth's gravity, with one side always facing the Earth, and then it revolves around the Earth. This is tidal locking. Proxima b is a planet, which is located in the habitable zone of the star Proxima Centauri, but because Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf, the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri is too close, which causes Proxima b to be locked by Proxima Centauri's gravity, and one side will always face Proxima Centauri, which is equivalent to tidal locking. This Proxima b is very close to the red dwarf, and its entire body is grayish-white, somewhat similar to Mercury. Chen-Mu is not in a hurry to devour this planet. Because Chen-Mu remembered one thing: the Earth had done research before, and mentioned that life may appear on this planet. Chen-Mu said, "System, is there life on this planet?" Detection is in progress. Detection completed. There is no life activity on this planet. It seems that there is no. However, it is normal. It is too difficult for a tidally locked planet to give birth to life. The side facing the star has to endure the star's exposure every day, while the side behind it is eternal night. In this environment, normal life is impossible to be born. Chen-Mu didn't think any more and moved closer. After the huge body moved closer, it directly opened its swallowing ability. Proxima b turned golden and slowly sank into Chen-Mu's body and was absorbed by Chen-Mu. Chen-Mu swallowed a Proxima b in the blink of an eye. It's so little the mass of the Proxima planetary system is too small. Chen-Mu could only get less than the mass of Jupiter by swallowing all the planets in the Proxima planetary system. Chen-Mu looked at the Proxima in front of him. The mass and size of Proxima are larger than Chen-Mu, so it is obviously impossible to swallow Proxima. It seems that he can only go over there to have a look. Chen-Mu looked in the direction of Nanman too. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 268. Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B, these two stars form a binary star system, which is very stable. They are like two spheres orbiting each other, the two are very close, and Proxima Centauri is far away from them. When the two spheres orbit each other, Proxima Centauri is far away, orbiting around the central particles of the two. The three are in a very stable state, which can last for a long time. Proxima Centauri is very close to this binary star system, only 0.211 light-years away. Chen-Mu used his control ability to control his body that had returned to the shape of the Earth and flew towards Alpha Centauri. When the Earth returned to its original appearance, all the highly intelligent life on the Earth raised their heads involuntarily. They all looked up at the sky. Since Chen-Mu left the solar system, the Earth has entered eternal night. There is no day or night. But when Chen-Mu flew into the three-star system in front of him, the feeling of looking at the sky from the Earth was completely different. The entire interior of the Earth was bright at this moment. The light falling from the sky illuminated the entire Earth. The sky above the Earth had a blue sky and white clouds that had not appeared for a long time, and the most surprising thing was a bright sun. The sunlight came from Proxima Centauri. The two stars of Alpha Centauri are too far away, so the life on Earth cannot feel the star of Alpha Centauri, but can only feel the light source from Proxima Centauri. Although Chen-Mu's speed is said to be the speed of light, in fact he has not reached the real speed of light, so people on Earth will also be affected by the light. When people on Earth saw the light from Proxima Centauri, they looked at the bright surroundings. Guyin, who had recovered her body, was lying on the hospital bed. She looked at the bright environment outside the window, and through the window, she looked at the sun hanging in the clouds. Her eyes trembled slightly, and there was an incredible light in them. She stretched out her hand, and the light fell on her white palm. The sun is back," she murmured subconsciously. That's not the sun. Suddenly, a voice came. Guyen came back to her senses, she retracted her sight and looked at the door. I saw a beautiful figure standing at the door, looking here. This girl is the killer whale with dragon horns. The killer whale smiled and said, "Are you feeling better?" Guyen looked at the killer whale, her eyes were shining, she retracted her hand and said, "Aren't you going to work?" When the killer whale heard this, she shrugged and said with a smile, "My job is to share knowledge. As for researching knowledge and turning knowledge into usable technology, that is not my business. Human beings must regenerate themselves. That is progress and growth." As she said this, she looked out the window, through the window, at the sky in the sky, and said, "Blue sky and white clouds, it feels so good, isn't it?" Guyen slowly retracted her gaze and looked at the sky outside. "You just said, isn't that the sun?" The killer whale said, "It's not the sun. The sun is the name given by Pangu civilization to the star at the center of the solar system. This star is not in the solar system, so it's naturally not the sun." She paused, looked at Guyen, and said with a smile, "By the way, you have been fighting during this period and haven't learned astronomy knowledge yet. It's okay. When you are better, I can move some books for you to read, so that you can increase your knowledge." Guyen looked at the killer whale, and she said, "You underestimate me a little bit. I still know about the sun, solar system, satellites, planets, and stars." "Oh," the killer whale looked at Guyen in surprise. Guyen said, "Fighting with those bastards of the Tal civilization is a battle of technology. The most important thing in war is intelligence, and the fastest way to collect intelligence is to use satellites. If I, as a soldier, don't even understand satellites, then there is no need to be a soldier." The killer whale laughed, "It seems that soldiers are not as simple as I thought." Guyen slowly retracted his gaze, looked at the scenery outside the window, and said, What is it?" "That's Proxima Centauri." The killer whale laughed and said, "It is a red dwarf star, 4 light years away from the sun." Guyen was stunned. 4 light years, she frowned and looked at the killer whale. "How is this possible? This planet has entered the eternal night, and it has only been more than 4 years. You mean, the planet under our feet is moving at the speed of light?" "Well, yes." The killer whale laughed and said, "Are you surprised?" Guyen was stunned, she frowned, then, "Why don't we feel anything?" The killer whale was happy, she said with a smile, "Because we are on this planet, our perception is based on this planet, we have no reference, so naturally we don't feel it. In fact, the universe we are in is expanding, and many planets in very distant places are moving at the speed of light, or even faster than the speed of light." No. Guyen looked at the killer whale and said, "According to the knowledge you brought us, doesn't it say that matter with mass cannot exceed the speed of light?" "Yes." The killer whale hummed and said, "Things with static mass cannot exceed the speed of light by their own movement, but the movement of matter caused by the expansion of the universe is movement in space, and the increase in space causes the movement of matter, and matter is pushed by space." Guyen frowned. She thought about it and shook her head. "I still don't quite understand." The killer whale smiled, "I didn't understand it at first, but I'll understand it later." Guyen looked at the killer whale sitting next to her, and she said, "Actually, I have always had questions for you." Guyen said, "According to the knowledge recorded in the book you gave us, we are now living on a celestial body with extremely large mass. There are no stars. How can we survive? According to the knowledge you said, isn't this world no longer suitable for us to live in?" Guyen paused and looked at the killer whale. "Without light and heat source, we can't survive at all." Hearing this, the killer whale smiled, "Because, the planet under your feet is not an ordinary planet." Guyen felt a shock all over her body, and she looked at the killer whale with an unbelievable look. "You mean, this planet is the body of the Creator, we live on the body of the Creator, is it the Creator who protects us?" The killer whale smiled slightly, "Well, the knowledge I gave you is correct. The reason why there are many things that are out of common sense on this planet is because of the intervention of the Creator. He has been protecting you all the time. Hearing this, Guyen felt a chill. A strong sense of fear and uneasiness surged into my heart. In other words, the lives of all creatures living on this planet depend on the Creator. If the Creator does not want to protect them, they will all perish in the first place. Guyen looked at his hands. It turns out that my life has never belonged to me. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 269. Guyen felt a little uneasy for no reason. This planet was alive. She lived on this planet, which meant that her life had always been in the hands of this being called Earth. Her life does not belong to her, but to the planet beneath her feet. As long as the planet wants to take it back, it can take it back. The feeling of being held in someone's hands made Guyen very uneasy. People live in planets. For humans, planets are very big and cannot be explored in a lifetime. Therefore, from the perspective of humans, as long as they stay on the planet, they are free. This planet is just a tool for human life. But it's a completely different feeling when you realize that the planet is a creature that can destroy all humans at any time. It felt like a knife was held to the neck, and he could die at any time and at any time. Life. After hearing what Guyen said, the killer whale slightly stretched its eyebrows. Guyen looked at the killer whale beside him. The killer whale laughed and said, "Of course your life belongs to you." Guyen was slightly startled, and she looked at the killer whale. The killer whale continued, "Although I don't know what you are thinking, he created humans, created all things, and gave life to all things. Because of his giving, human beings came into existence." She looked at Guyen and said with a smile, "Just like parents, they gave birth to a child and gave life to the child, but even so, the child's life belongs to the child, not to the parents." Guyen blinked and looked at the killer whale. "Is that so?" Guyen's eyes trembled slightly. "Yes, the relationship between this planet and the life on the planet is the relationship between the Creator and the created, similar to that between parents and children. That's why he protects us." Guyen murmured. "It's not just about protection," the killer whale suddenly said. Guyen was startled and looked at the killer whale. The killer whale said with a smile, "The angels in the west, the dragons in the east, and the mechanical race from Mars are all helping the highly intelligent life on Earth because of him. Since he created all things, he has been helping all things develop. This time, mankind almost became extinct, and he took action. Didn't you see this with your own eyes?" Guyen was stunned. Protection, it turns out to be this. Guyen slowly came back to her senses. She raised her face and looked at the scenery outside the window. She watched the sunlight in the distance illuminate the white clouds. She said softly, "From all things after birth, he silently guards all things in the world." For a moment, a tall and majestic figure appeared in Guyen's mind. It seems that it is an extremely great existence, a mysterious existence. In the command room of Pangu's First Army, Commander-in-Chief Zi-Ren sat on a chair and looked at the many screens in front of him. What he was thinking about was what the killer whale had said to him before. The occurrence of various strange phenomena in heaven and earth, and the irrationality of this planet. The killer whales all gave the answer. This planet is a planet with life, and this life is the creator of everything in the world. Zi-Ren murmured to himself the answer the killer whale gave him. This is an answer that is completely out of common sense, but this answer can explain all the unreasonable things about the planet in front of us. However, if this is the case, we must continue to develop quickly, and humans must think about ways to leave this planet and go to other planets sooner. Earth's gravity, space. The knowledge given by the killer whales makes the planet under your feet become a bit like a prison. Everyone is trapped in this planet by the rope called gravity and cannot leave. But if you leave, you will be in space. Without the protection of external forces, human beings would be like entering a real hell. Ren covered his head with his hands, rubbed his forehead, and thought for a moment, when you leave the prison, you will enter purgatory. To gain freedom in purgatory, we can only rely on the power of technology. In fact, all human evolution is to adapt to the Earth's environment. In other words, humans only exist because of the Earth. But if you zoom in and put it beyond the planet, the Earth is very small, smaller than gravel. And human beings are trapped in the sand called the Earth. But from a human perspective, this gravel is so huge, so in this huge gravel, humans feel free, because even with such a small amount of gravel, humans spend a lifetime exploring it. Not finished. If the Earth is a cage, then the gravitational pull generated by the planet will make humans unable to leave the Earth. The evolution of human beings is to adapt to the environment of the prison. According to the normal evolution of living things, humans are just parasitic creatures on the Earth and are not independent. Chen-Mu flew towards the binary star system of Nanmen 2. Although Proxima Centauri and Centauri A and Centauri B are three star systems and are very close to each other within a system, the so-called very close is relative to the distance between the solar system and Proxima Centauri. In fact, even at this distance, Chen-Mu would have to fly for more than 2 months using the speed of light. Chen-Mu had nothing to do, so he looked at the development of the lives in his body. These guys had a temporary truce with the Tar civilization. The Tar civilization retreated to the gate of time and space and built an energy shield across the entrance. After all the civilizations on Earth occupied that valley, they made no other moves and focused on researching technology. Of course, the current practices of these civilizations on Earth are very correct. The technological development of the Tal civilization is very slow now, and in Chen-Mu's farm, there are workers who bring knowledge bases every day to teach them knowledge, so naturally the daily technological progress is changing with each passing day. As long as it continues to develop, one day, the civilization on the farm will definitely surpass and crush the Tal civilization, and it will not be slow to take action at that time. Chen-Mu retracted his gaze. Although it is different from what Chen-Mu imagined before, it has achieved Chen-Mu's goal. As long as these guys' technology continues to advance, they can fly into space and help themselves collect evolutionary energy. It will be much simpler at that time. At the same time, in a planet located in Nanmen 2A. Inside this planet that looks barren on the surface, there lives a group of life. This group of life lives underground. In this underground city, a life form with a big head, big eyes, and a gray body is standing in front of a metal round table full of technology. On the round table, you can see a three-dimensional celestial map. The life form looked at the celestial map on the table. The light cast by the celestial map was reflected in its black pupils. Through the celestial map, it could see the wandering planet Earth flying towards its own planet at a very fast speed, become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain. First author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 270. In the study of the original Earth, there was a civilization called Sumerian civilization. Sumerian civilization is an ancient civilization more than 6,000 years before modern civilization. It is recognized as the earliest civilization of mankind. Various information was recorded in Sumerian civilization through cuneiform and stone tablets. Ancient civilizations more than 6,000 years before modern civilization should not have the ability to observe planets, and before the birth of Sumerian civilization, Mayan civilization had not yet been born. Even the saying that the earth is round and the sky is square had not yet been born. But the Sumerian civilization still records that there are 12 celestial bodies revolving around the sun in the solar system, and the stele also records information about the orbits of celestial bodies. Among them, Sumerian civilization also believes in gods. The stele says that the gods of their civilization come from a planet called Nibiru, which revolves around the sun with a revolution period of 3,600 Earth years. Logically speaking, the Sumerian civilization is such an ancient civilization, older than the Mayan civilization, but the stone tablet records tell modern people that before the civilization we are familiar with and the familiar theory of the round earth and the square sky, the Sumerian civilization already knew the existence of the solar system and that there were celestial bodies orbiting the sun. So does this God exist? If it does, can it be said that as early as the beginning, there were already advanced civilizations in other planets in the solar system? If there are advanced civilizations in the solar system, then other planetary systems may not be absent. There are also planetary systems in the two stars, Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. And there are some lives living on the planet Alpha Centauri A. These lives are observing Chenmu's actions. Next to the highly intelligent creature with a big head, big eyes, 3 fingers, and suction cups, there is also a group of similar lives. The life standing in front of the celestial map looked at Chenmu in the celestial map in front of it. It raised its hand and pressed the 3-dimensional button displayed on the metal table with its finger with an octopus suction cup. At the moment the button was pressed, a planet that was circling the outermost periphery of Nanman-2 and was as big as the moon began to glow by itself. When it glowed, all the dust covering the planet was directly melted by the terrifying temperature. The moon-sized planet showed its true appearance. It was an artificial planet made of steel. And this metal planet that seemed to be made of pure steel turned red at this moment, and it glowed inside. This artificial planet was only as big as the moon. Since it was pure metal, its mass was not low, but it was far less than the mass of the original Earth. Under such a mass, the interior of the planet did not have the ability to crush hydrogen elements to cause nuclear fusion reactions. Indeed, the power of nature is naturally helpless, but this is an artificial planet, a planet built by highly intelligent life. Just like humans can create nuclear fusion devices, under the influence of external forces, an artificial planet the size of the moon can naturally form nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion broke out crazily in the body of this artificial planet, and at the same time as the nuclear fusion broke out, a hole appeared on the surface of the artificial planet, and all the energy generated by nuclear fusion began to condense on this hole. Chenmu relied on his control ability to drive the Earth towards the direction of Alpha Centauri. But at this time, Chenmu found that originally there were 2 very bright light spots far away, and those 2 light spots were the 2 stars Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B, but now he saw a 3rd light spot, and it was very bright. What's going on? Chenmu was a little puzzled, and with this puzzlement, he locked that direction through the super bionic eye. Through the long-sightedness of the super bionic eye, he could see the source of the light, which was a steel planet undergoing nuclear fusion, and this artificial planet that was obviously processed by external forces could see a hole at this moment, and that hole was gathering energy, and the direction that the energy was aimed at was surprisingly his own direction. Is this a weapon? Chenmu was a little curious. What a big deal, using a planet as a weapon. However, Chenmu was not in a hurry. Even if that thing was powerful enough, even if it was powerful enough to destroy his body, even if the speed of that thing was the speed of light, it would take a long time to hit him. What Chenmu was interested in now was that Nanman-2 actually had life. And the technology of this life could already make planetary weapons, which was really incredible. At this moment, the big-headed life form in front of the celestial map raised the 3 hands with octopus suckers and pressed another button. A space gap suddenly appeared in front of the muzzle of the planetary weapon. Chenmu saw the space gap that suddenly appeared through the super bionic eye. After seeing the gap, Chenmu's heart moved. Is that a space-time tunnel? Warp engine. The muzzle, which was already filled with white light, suddenly ejected a dazzling white light. The light shot into the gate of space and time in an instant. At the same time, Chenmu felt a sudden light in front of his eyes. White light instantly appeared in the void and hit Shenmue, who was flying in the void. At this moment, the light instantly hit Shenmue. Guyin, who was on the planet, was standing in front of the balcony of the hospital. She only had time to see that everything around her was instantly covered by white light. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, Shenmue's huge body exploded. Shenmue is now a planet, and his instant adaptation and extremely fast self-healing are both planetary level. But instant adaptation requires an instant to adapt, and this instant takes time. Even if it is an instant, extremely fast self-healing also requires the system to judge that it is injured before it can heal itself. And at this moment, Shenmue, who was not prepared at all, was directly shattered by the light that shot out at this instant. According to the stone tablets of Sumerian civilization, the astronomical knowledge they possessed is likely to come from the gods they talked about. There should be 12 planets orbiting the Sun in the solar system. But the solar system we are familiar with has only 8 planets. So where are the other 3? Perhaps the asteroid belt we are familiar with is just like the relationship between Saturn and Saturn's rings that we have seen. Saturn's rings are formed by a satellite being torn apart. There is a story that there was originally a planet between Mars and Wood. An advanced civilization was born in that planet, but later, it was targeted by another advanced civilization, accompanied by a beam of light. The planet was hit by the light and shattered into countless pieces, forming the current asteroid belt. When technology reaches a certain level, it is believed that shattering a planet is not a difficult task. In the void, countless pieces of rubble spread. At this moment, Shenmue was like a miniature Oort cloud. But at this moment, these pieces of rubble turned into golden light and began to recondense. Recondense at a very, very fast speed. The big-headed life forms under the planet looked at the madly condensing matter through the celestial map. They looked at each other, with doubts in their big eyes.